I wondered how long it would take. Not content with, of course, peeing off the country with her budget a few weeks ago, she has now decided to go on a one-woman mission to pee off half the country again. And that half, unfortunately, is the 17.4 million people that voted for Brexit and will be appeasing all the Ramonas out there. So what's going on? And well, it appears that Keir Starmer and Rachel Reeves have found the back door, shall we say. I mean, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that Keir Starmer's been entering the back door for quite some time with various things, shall we say. However, it appears they've been planning this for quite some time and are covering up with a smidgen of bullshit. But according to this, the article says that Rachel Reeves has been blasted over a Brexit betrayal as she plots a major reset with the EU. So just what is going on then? Well, it says that Labour was accused of trying to take Britain in towards the slow growth of the EU as the Chancellor meets EU finance chiefs today. And Rachel Reeves will be the first Chancellor to attend the Eurogroup meeting of EU finance ministers since Brexit as the government continues its reset with the bloc. And there more than likely is a very good reason why Chancellors haven't been attending these Eurogroup meetings with the EU, because we're not a member of the EU, so therefore we shouldn't have to attend them, should we? And that is something that the Labour really does need to get their head around. It also, I could be wrong, but why do they always seem to have the EU in their heads? I mean, what they surely need to have in their heads is Donald Trump will soon be President of the United States, and he was quite keen to do a deal with us before, of course, Sleepy Joe Biden, or Bungalow Biden as he's often known, took over and kind of binned any deal, or swept under the carpet rather, that we'd more than likely have done with them. However, she is expected to say that the UK and the EU should aim to business-like relationship going forward at the gathering of Brussels. What they don't seem to understand is that the EU often seems to just take, and they very, very rarely kind of give any leeway at all, do they? I mean, just look back at the 2016-2017 Brexit negotiations, where we were the ones who were leaving, but yet they seem to be calling all the shots. It's just absolutely disgraceful. And all this half in, half out sort of deal that Theresa May was trying to go for in the first place is just absolutely outrageous. We should just left, in my opinion, and then surely in that 2 years of the transition period, we could have come to a non-tariff free trade arrangement without any of the crap that we agreed to. But anyway, Shadow Business and Trade Secretary Andrew Griffiths said the Chancellor should be spending all her energy on working out how to reverse her devastating budget measures that have crashed confidence and will see fewer jobs, lower salaries and higher taxes. And if she is interested in growth, she should tell the Prime Minister to jump on a plane to the US and talk to Trump about getting a UK-US trade deal done, not trying to take Britain back towards the slow growth of the EU. And that is what I was saying, isn't it? But it just seems they never got over the fact that we wanted to leave. And when I say we, I mean the country as a whole. The 17.4 million people who voted Brexit, because whether the Ramonas like it or not, and yeah, I'm not talking about people who voted Remain and accept the result. I'm talking about the ones who just didn't and won't shut up about it. That's the way voting works, regardless of the percentage. The higher number of votes win, and therefore they should have stuck to that rather than going for this, but we have to think of them. Well, they wouldn't have thought of us the other way round, would they? I'm sure. But anyway, Reform MP Rupert Lowe said it is becoming clearer by the day that this so-called reset is nothing more than a ploy to drag us closer to the EU, and that actually is what I'm worried about. How much more will we have to compensate to get anything from the EU at all? Now that, of course, there'll be some sort of free movement option that the EU will want us to agree to, which, with more and more people coming over here, would then have a devastating impact on the NHS and emergency services and anything else, no doubt. But as he says, Labour is still filled with Europhiles who would love nothing more to see us back in the European Union. And Rachel Reeves needs to respect the decision by the British people in 2016 and focus on growing the British economy, not dragging us ever closer to the EU. And that she should pay a lot of attention to, because if she doesn't, then Reform will get more and more members, and who knows, in the 2029 election might even be a real challenger to Labour, especially as, remember, they came second in 90 whatever constituencies it was during this year's election. And think about it, if they had come first, they would have had nearly 100 MPs rather than the 5 they actually ended up with. But anyway, the Chancellor's speech apparently will focus on tackling shared challenges like the war in Ukraine, championing free trade and strengthening economic partnerships. And what she needs to realise is that we gave up a lot over the years, especially with Rishi's Windsor framework, which, remember, kind of shackles Northern Ireland to the EU and therefore us, because we can't really differentiate from Northern Ireland, because if we do, they will then kick up a fuss and say, well, hang on a minute, if we, I don't know, let's say we cut VAT to 10%, which we could legally do because we're outside the EU, but we couldn't do that in Northern Ireland, and therefore they wouldn't exactly be too happy about it, could they? Because Northern Ireland, as far as I'm aware, kind of has to follow the EU rules. Even though, of course, the UK and Northern Ireland did leave the EU, but they have this grip over us, don't they? But anyway, she will, of course, claim that division and chaos defined the government's approach to Europe, and it will not define ours. Well, no doubt, of course, I'm sure Begging Bowl will define yours, Rachel Reeves. As well as a little brown nosing, I'm sure. But anyway, Miss Reeves will say, we want a relationship to build on trust, mutual respect and pragmatism, something which I'm sure the EU will probably need a dictionary to understand what any of those words mean. Mature business-like relationships, she says, where we can put behind us the low ambitions of the past and move forward, focus instead on all what we have in common, and all that we might achieve together to keep our country safe, secure and prosperous. But she's not done there. She says she will add that a closer economic relationship between the UK and the EU is not a zero-sum game. Well, no doubt, of course, it'll be us giving them money, no doubt. Miss Reeves will say it's about improving both our growth prospects. If she wants growth, why doesn't she try to get a deal with America? Because let's face it, I don't know if it's just me, but I'm pretty sure America would love to do a trade deal with us, especially with Donald Trump in charge, and therefore would give us much more growth, in my opinion, than what we ever got with our 50-odd years within the EU, I'm sure. But this, of course, comes as Sir Keir Starmer has pledged to reset the UK's post-Brexit relationship with the EU. But the Prime Minister, of course, backed Remain, remember, and a second referendum, so it just goes to show whose side he's currently on, doesn't it, really? Has insisted, though, that he will not seek to return to the single market or customs union. Now that, of course, no, if he'd done that, a lot of people, including me, would be pretty peed off. So he's kind of going to baffle us with bullshit, no doubt, and do it all via the back door instead. Or perhaps, who knows, ask them to create some sort of new version or special version, shall we say, of a single market or customs union, but wrap it up in a different name, but with similar things, eh? And I hope I'm wrong, but I've got a feeling I'm not. And therefore might, let's face it, be taking us back there kicking and screaming when a potentially better deal might be on offer with the US.